All right, fellas, what's going on? I hope you guys are having a great day. I was recording a video for you guys, a POV video, going on a spirited drive when I got this message. As you guys know, on these B51 or B58s, Gen 1s, these suffer a lot of issues with all the coolant hoses underneath the intake manifold. The coolant hoses, oil filter housing, and the thermostat, and that little flange that's in the middle. All of it is plastic. That's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to show you guys how to replace most of the stuff under there. I'm going to have part numbers in the description. Gaskets are going to be OEM BMW gaskets, and all the coolant hoses are going to be BMW OEM. So before we start, one of the first things that I'm going to do is unplug the battery, because we are going to be taking off a whole bunch of sensors. More importantly, we are going to be taking off the DME to get access to all these coolant hoses. And if you unplug your DME with the battery still connected, there can be a little bit of a problem with the DME itself. I've never had an issue with it, but don't take the chance. Just unplug the battery, because you're going to be taking off a whole bunch of sensors. Alright guys, I got a little bit too ahead of myself. I already took off the throttle body, but obviously the throttle body goes right there. You're going to take the 3 bolts to take off your charge pipe, and then there's 3 10mm bolts to take it off the actual intake manifold, and then you would have a connector at the back. Take off the 3 bolts and then just turn it over to get access to this plug. Let's work on taking off all these hoses off. T20 right here, T20 right here for this line, and then a T20 right here in the back. So you can just take those off, and then it would be loose. You don't have to take it off at the moment. These wires go over here to this DME. But now that we have these loose, we can worry about this fuel tank vent valve. We can take that off real quick. So you're gonna have a connector over here, like so, and then take it off of this little connection. You just get on both ends, squeeze, and then you should be able to pull it right off. So obviously just pop this off and then pop this cover off. There's 3 little sockets that go into these joints, sitting like this. Press the lock down, and then you use your other finger to push this down, and then that literally lifts it up out of the DME. So I already did it with the second one. Push it down. You can just lift it up a little bit. And you just do it for all of these. So something I want to know is the ones that have the 2 like harnesses going to 1. The other side of the harness should be right here in the middle. And then all you have to do is take them off, and then you should be able to take off like this one. Should be able to just slide it right off. This one has a connector coming to the middle right here, and then another connector over here on the side. So just squeeze it, take it off, and then same thing on this side. It has one of those push lock. Just do that, squeeze it, and they should be able to scoot this to the side. To get this whole mess of connections off, this little section is going to be connected right into that holder of the DME right here. There's going to be a little like clip right here at the bottom. You'll be able to push it in with your finger and then just lift up, and then you can get this out of the way. We're going to take care of this coolant line right here. We're just going to get our right angle pick, get underneath that clip. Just put your hand over it, because these do like to pop off. I'm just going to pop it off, put it over to the side, and then you can just take off that coolant line. Alright, just to show you a close-up of what we're going to do next. So we're going to take off these modules out. As you can see, there's these little like push locks that we're gonna have to push, and then we'll be able to raise that DME out. And then same thing on this side, just one right here, you'll be able to push it and then raise this out. So let me get those out real quick, and then we'll move on to that next step. All right, just to get a closer look before I take this DME holder out all the way. So there's gonna be 3 sections where you have these connectors, right? So this comes in this holder, and then this is gonna be sticking out the bottom. You just wanna go under there with your finger, push on it, and then just pull this out on every single one of these, and then just move it off to the side over here. And then you're gonna have 2 screws to take off, both 8mm, so you can lift it up. And then there's gonna be a holder right here that holds this fuel line. Now that we have the DME out, you can see how much room you get from that. And you can already start seeing some of the leaks that I had in my car. The process to take this intake manifold off is you're gonna have a whole bunch of 10 mils across right here, all the way to the back, and then you're gonna have 2 E10s right here. All right, fellas, so now once you have all those bolts off and those E10s, you should be able to get it to this point. You should be able to lift it up high enough so you can get access to these 2 coolant hoses right here. So you're gonna take a pick to right here, pull it, and then you should be able to push it off. And then same thing with that side, and then you should be able to take off that intake manifold. Just a little warning, they can be a little bit tough to take off. So once those clips are off, you're just gonna have to play with it for a little bit. All right, guys, so finally got it off. Honestly, wasn't too bad. It was just a couple things that were latched onto this bracket right here that I will show you that was kind of just like hindering it from coming out pretty easily. So both these coolant lines connect to that intake manifold like this. So when you are raising it, you're gonna have a whole bunch of tension on these, and this will not let you raise up the intake manifold because it is hooked into this little bracket right here. So what you can do is you can raise up the intake manifold just a bit, and then get a like a pry bar or some sort, and then come in through right here, and then you should have like a little pocket in here to just get right underneath there and pop it off, and then that'll give you enough room to like set it on the alternator. And then like I showed you guys in that first clip, you guys should have enough room to have access to those clips. On this one, obviously the hose was on here. I took my pry tool, put it right on the edge of that hose, and I just popped it right off. Once you have that side off, you'll have even more room to lift up the intake manifold, and then you'll be able to get a pry bar or something, and then use this as leverage, and then just pop it right up, and then that line will come off. So I'm just working on taking off all these coolant lines. I'm taking off this hose that goes from this connector down to this heat management module right now. That water pump has a connection or like a little screw that slides into here. All you want to do is take a screwdriver, come right here in the middle, pry it open, and then just slide it out. There you go. So we're gonna start by taking off this HMM. As you can see, we have one bolt right here, that's an E10, another one down here, E10, and then the pain in the butt one that's all the way underneath over here. It should be somewhere on this side. So, like I showed you guys, those 2 top ones, and then that bottom left one right here, right next to this connection. And there's your HMM. Orientation of it is like this. So we're gonna have 2 bolts on the top, and then we're gonna have 1 on the bottom. All of them are E8s. And that is that connector. So, now to the oil filter housing. Obviously we can see 2 bolts right here, and the rest just disappear. If we look at this metal one, obviously these 2 right here are gonna be these 2. So if we put it in the same orientation, we're kind of close of the orientation. There's 1, 2, 3, and then if you go to the top, there's none over here. 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we already counted those. So 6 bolts in total. Obviously, you're gonna have your oil filter housing, and then all this mess of hoses and stuff like that, right? But then, in between the oil filter housing, you got your cooler right here. I believe this is the trans cooler. There's gonna be these 2 slots right here in the open. So oil cooler, there's gonna be a slot, there's gonna be a bolt right here for your oil cooler, and then there's gonna be another slot right here at the tip of my finger. And those slots are gonna give you just enough room to be able to get those 2 bolts that are on the side. One of these E10s that are swivel, I believe this will make your life way easier. I have not tried it yet, but I'm about to try it and see if it works. And just to give you guys a closer look on this stuff, just for context, my car has about 130,000 miles now. All this brown stuff means that these coolant hoses were on their way to like break. They're super brittle. And if we look at the gaskets on this stuff, they're all flat. Like this is all flat, this is all flat. So it was definitely leaking. Even on this HMM, look at that. That thing is pretty flat on one side. And you can see right there all the residual stuff at the bottom right there. So that was definitely leaking. And this is the main thing right here. Look at this. This was on its way to break. Obviously it's a couple days later, and everything's been good. It's been about 4 or 5 days. So far, no issues. It took me a little bit to bleed the system because I don't have a vacuum bleeder. You don't need it. These have the electronic water pump or auxiliary pumps that activate, so it can fill the system. And that's what I did. Drove it around, filled it, let it sit for like a couple hours, rechecked it, and I filled it as needed. And I repeated that process until I didn't have to refill it anymore. But I will say the job was pretty easy. 100% it is a long process. Not so much hard, it's just you gotta take off a lot of stuff to even get to like the oil filter housing, that flange, that thermostat, and all those lines. Those lines are stuck on there. But not a bad job. If you guys are thinking about doing it and you guys have the proper tools, just do it. I promise you guys, you will be able to get it done. It might take you a little bit, but you will get it done. Just take your time, be patient, and 100% you guys got that. It's easy. I will say, if you have a 1/4-inch E10 with the swivel end and the E8 in the swivel end with the extension, you guys can do the whole job easy. That's how you change oil filter housing, those coolant hoses, thermostat, and then that coolant flange. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Until then, I hope you guys have a great day, great night, wherever you guys are. Just have a great time. And that's it. Until next time, guys.